All right, you're on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Time being 6:30, I call to order the Tilton Planning Board meeting for Tuesday, March 26, 2019. Being the first meeting of the year, we elect a chair, a vice chair, and secretary as our first order of business. And I would like to nominate Julia Harvey as chair this year.
I'll second that.
Anybody else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Eric Myra.
I'll second that.
Will you accept, Eric?
Sure.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And secretary.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
Juliet was secretary. Yeah.
Nominate Jane Alden.
I decline.
Support.
I don't think so.
Oh.
No, I'm going to decline also. I don't.
As the, don't look at this then. As the ex officio, it probably
that's right,
won't be
Christine.
proper. I'm going with that.
I'm not here.
You only sign papers once in a while, and you can come in when we're not here. Yes.
Excuse me, before we go any, okay, under discussion, we haven't got to discussion yet. Because we're not going to have Dari much longer available to take our minutes. So it becomes a much more involved thing than just signing things.
I don't think it's reasonable to insist that a planning board member is going to be the secretary.
Nor do I, which is why I'm kind of going in this direction. We have it on the agenda for Thursday night. There's a number of different boards that have secretaries who receive, pay for doing that job. And this is a very legal position, so that's going to come up on Thursday night. And I agree with you completely. One of us, probably for the best that we have somebody separate.
Well, we take the meeting so somebody can transcribe off those.
They could. So do we still need a second?
Yes, because you still need someone to sign.
We need,
plans.
that's what our secretary does.
Okey dokey, I'll be shutting up.
So do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
There you go, Christine. I turn it over to you, my
Congratulations.
friend. It's all yours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, who nominated Christine? Who made the motion?
This one.
Oh, Joe,
No, I
No,
did Julia.
Judy did.
sorry.
I'm second.
So who made it?
Judy.
I thought you, okay. All right. All right, cool. Thanks.
Hey,
Okay. I guess marching on to planning board case 19-01.
Who's on, Larry? You're here better on the table.
Oh,
Anyway.
probably did.
Hello?
Mine's on,
Okay. Oh, just for the audio.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really sensitive.
That's really loud. Yeah, sorry, I'll turn that down. How's that?
Is that better?
You tell me.
Hello?
All right, so we have a boundary line adjustment and subdivision. Proposal from Robert Partridge to annex a .397 acre tract from lot 58 to 58-1, annex a .272 acre tract from lot 58-1 to lot 58 and subdivide the resultant lot 58 to create a new lot at 160 and 156 Winter Street. So we'll take a look at the application and see if that's ready to accept.
make a motion to accept the application as substantially complete.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Mr. Partridge, would you like to come up and,
I'd be happy to give a quick description if that's okay with the board. So we had Mr. Partridge has a variance in place. He is seeking to finalize the boundary line adjustment that you see on the first plan. I found it helpful to reference this old plan from 2006 or 2009 or something like that, or anyway, this plan here, to see the existing configuration. So you may want to refer to that. But as the case description explains, it's taking a portion of one, it's exchanging some land between the two existing lots, and then the second part of that will be to take that resultant front lot and subdivide it into two parcels. It's really as simple as that.
does Mr. Partridge have any comments? Or,
Other than this is what the, Mr. Crockett, the surveyor, has come up with and how he can appropriate all the little property needed to do the subdivision. And he's done all the work that needs to be done to do that, to create that 1 acre lot.
Are we voting on a lot adjustment and a subdivision?
A new lot.
Yeah.
Both,
It is.
right?
It's essentially, two matters rolled into one case. And I think it makes sense to talk about them together. However, at the point of, making a motion to approve or something, it would probably make sense to do them as two separate motions.
do we have any members of the public who'd like to speak on the matter?
I just had a question about what's the actual lot size that it's supposed to be? Is it 1 acre that it's supposed to be broken up into?
Well, he actually has a variance to address that. So there was a variance granted to allow for a lot that's undersized. So the requirement, I think, for a back lot is 2 acres. But again, there's a variance that he secured to allow for that.
What is, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask him, what's the purpose of the lot?
I think it's going to be for home, but I'm not, yeah. It's not really, it's not necessarily of relevance to the board in terms of, determining whether this meets the town's regulations, but I do believe that's the use, that's the intended use.
Another house back there
Right.
between the other two?
Right, yeah.
Is that right? Mr. Partridge? Can you speak to that at all?
Well, it's a variance, we got a variance from the ZBA to get a 1 acre lot approved, and that was passed. And now we're just doing the preliminary work to get the pins all moved and the new property on everything situated, so all 3 pieces have the right size property and the pins in the right place, which will be done.
Thank you.
For another dwelling or a house?
Yes. My daughter and son-in-law want to build it.
Okay.
Is there anyone else from the public who wants to speak? Just kind of, not really hearing, but,
Question. What, I don't have my book in front of me, so I don't know. But what does that do to that driveway? Does that make that a road? Does that make it,
It's a shared driveway.
but servicing 3 lots?
No, it's-
Well, it serves 2, never mind.
Yeah, good question.
Never mind.
Yeah.
I'm worried about making a cul-de-sac and all these
Yeah,
different
yeah,
things.
That's a good observation, but
But,
no, luckily it is just the two.
And then I have a follow-up question, because I'm confused and tired. On this one map here, it looks like there is an area that is becoming part of that lot. Is that correct? Like the driveway coming down, it's shaded
Yeah.
lines? The only
Yeah, and that's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, so I'm just confused is that gonna become part of the subdivided lot, or is that, what's the importance of highlighting the driveway?
Yeah, it is, I found it helpful that to reference the older plan. I mean, again, that's the configuration that exists. You can see the back lot is an odd shape. It's shaped essentially like a rectangle with a thin strip coming off it, and a little piece that comes up. And so that, now they're being turned into relatively, normal shaped rectangles. So that whole strip that comes down with a little piece is now associated with the front lot. And then that shaded portion that you see situated kind of between the 2 lots is going to now be associated with the back lot.
Does anyone else have anything?
Is that cutting off that back lot? Is there a right of way, is there an easement? Or is it-
Yes, there is an easement, but, right, it is turning it into an actual back lot.
Because you're taking away the frontage, if you will.
Right.
And I don't know how key that, is that key to,
Backlots, according to Tilton zoning, backlots are required to be serviced by a right of way.
so there's that road, that driveway will still continue to be a right of way that they have access to
Yes.
indefinitely?
Yes, I think it'll be deeded.
It's marked common easement on mine anyway.
Easement.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna make a motion to accept this, I guess it's in 2 parts. We'll do the lot line adjustment.
Second.
Do you want to put that into a form of a motion?
I knew what you said.
No?
Make a motion to accept the boundary line, lot line adjustment.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right. And subdivision?
Make a motion to accept the subdivision per the map.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
All right. You got it.
Good seeing you, Bob.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh, so like everybody's leaving.
Very exciting. That's done.
Yeah. Might shoot somebody else that one.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a conceptual design Preliminary drawing by Michael Dion for a car, wow,
Car wash?
I guess it's a car wash, is what I've been told. That's what it says. Yeah, that's just not, you can have a seat. Sure.
Well, can you speak that up so they're recording?
We're recording.
Sorry.
Yeah, for the record, Dave Dolan, David M. Dolan Associates, land surveyor for Mike Dion. We've spoken with Dari, and I think Mike and his wife were here about a year ago to talk about a car wash on property they own on West Main Street, opposite the Dairy Queen, pretty much. It's a vacant lot. I believe you may have copies of the conceptual plan for the car wash, which we've been working with and with the car wash designer to try to see how we can make it work on that site. The lot's about 33,000 square feet. The car wash is allowed in that zone. Couple of key questions before we complete drainage design have to do with setbacks and driveways, and also addressing the parking requirements. I believe under other uses that aren't listed, that's all we can go with. We'd require one space for every 300 square feet of building space. Just want to make sure we're interpreting everything correctly, and if that were the case, we need 10 spaces based on the building size. In order to address those parking requirements, we do have on this plan 10 spaces associated with the vacuums, and also there's about 12 parking spaces combined for the entrance once you're off the road onto the property. So you'd have 12 cars possibly stacked. If you were to consider those parking spaces for people waiting to use the car wash, that would address that parking requirement. Regarding the setbacks, driveways aren't allowed in setbacks per the zoning, but then under the definition of setback, there are exclusions for certain things such as signs and access and egress, but it doesn't specify whether that's to a building or a property. The way you read it, it looks like it's talking about a building. And then how much, the driveway, this is a driveway entrance and the side setbacks. As you enter the property, you got to cross the front setback, obviously, with the driveway.
Yeah.
To get to the building on the west end. And on each side of the building, exiting and entering the building, the driveway goes into the side setbacks. And we're just looking for some clarification on that, if that's allowed, before we formalize drainage design. We have spoken with DOT. They're satisfied, at least that's what they told me, that driveway entrance would work. We had an earlier plan that showed an entrance and two separate curb cuts, and they weren't in favor of that, so we revised the plan for one curb cut. And the fire department, the deputy has taken a look at the plan and actually approved this layout. Obviously, any changes would be resubmitted to the fire department to keep them in the loop. Water would be recycled, and I think it's 70% recycled water,
75%.
but there would be a sewer connection. We have touched base with the sewer department on that, and then we use also the municipal water connect to the water main that's on the opposite side of West Main Street. Excuse me.
Where do you propose to put snow? I don't see that, there's a lot of asphalt there and no place to put snow? Or am I just missing this?
We can't get that deep into it because it's conceptual. Otherwise, we're doing a site plan.
Okay, okay.
Right, though, we have looked at it and considered it, and options are also to remove the snow from the site when we run out of room, which we've, in the past, had that requirement to place a plan note to that effect on a plan. Understanding this is an informal meeting, but we are looking some for some definition on what can be in the side setbacks, the front setback as far as driveway.
Would they have to go before ZBA to get any type of variance on the setbacks? I think they would.
My understanding.
So, yeah, I mean, it's obviously up to you guys. My only, thought would be that you could reference 4.3 of the zoning ordinance, as guidance. But I think, Mr. Dolan is saying that, yes, I've read 4.3 and I understand what it says. However, it doesn't address the sort of inevitable circumstance in which a driveway, in order to access a piece of property, obviously there has to be a driveway that goes through the setback. And does that, he's asking, okay, so if that's allowed, even though it's not stated in the ordinance, should it or should it not also be allowed to have some paved area in the side and rear setback, because of the fact that it's an access related installation that isn't visible, it doesn't have a vertical element to it, it's flat. So I think that it really is, that's as much guidance as I think I can give. I do think it's up to you guys, in this case, to some degree, in conjunction, I suppose, with the code enforcement officer, but I think Mr. Dolan is very interested to learn how you guys view it.
Would I read this correctly? That there's like a rectangle in the middle of this plan that looks like Morse code? Is that your setback box, or is that this box here?
That's correct.
Okay.
I have a larger plan, and the setback lines are in color, which may
But I
I
do think,
understand that it's an informal meeting, but just to try to point out what the question is, makes it any clearer, if any,
Okay.
not a problem with anything.
I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
And I guess just to add what Barry said, under the definitions,
Is it?
This is the setback line. Yeah.
on the structure,
All the way down here.
Yeah, I get it.
So is your reclaim system also in the setback?
that's below grade.
Those are below ground.
Pardon?
It's below grade, it's buried.
No, it's not in the setback though.
It's not in the setback, and it's buried. And that's a dumpster, or is that?
Yeah, that's easily relocated to comply with
I was
setbacks.
curious
I just see
where it is.
that's in the setbacks, so we had discussed that, yeah, the recycling tanks are below grade.
Okay. Setbacks.
And I was just,
Yeah. Setbacks. The purpose of a setback ordinance is to provide a buffer that is meant to prevent encroachments over property lines, safety from possible traffic accidents, snow removal, buffers from other land uses such as commercial to residential, and to provide open space and structures around structures and lots. Setbackers can also provide a structure-free area for utilities, burying pipes, electrical. The setback distance is determined in the town of Tilton by the zoning. For a lot line touching or extending into the roadway, the setback line shall either be measured from the edge of the traveled way or shall correspond with the public right-of-way boundary, whichever is more restrictive. So, any thoughts on setbacks after reading that?
I think I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think Mr. Dolan was trying to make an additional comment related to the definition of structures. Did you get that in, or?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure everyone had a chance to
Okay.
understand what they were looking at. With the setbacks initially, right, but that does define structures, and then if you look at the definition of structures, it does make some exceptions for safe means of egress or ingress, including handicapped ramps, fire escapes, or stairs. They're talking about a building there, but there has to be some sort of a allowance for a driveway, or else every lot would need a variance.
No,
Right.
because
Yeah,
not
from the
every
road
lot needs a
the
driveway
lot.
this size. It's because this business has the need for a driveway this size, but not every business needs that.
That's right, but they would all need to get from the road to the property.
Right, but that's only the front egress, not the
Right,
sides.
but it doesn't, that's kind of why I'm here to see how everyone interprets that, because it does not get excluded. Because if you go to the,
Go to the zoning.
I know, it does seem to indicate that
That's what I think it
it's
says,
set-
go to the zoning board.
It says it's
Thanks, section.
determined by the zoning district.
I'm sorry, which section are you under that?
Setbacks, 4.3.
4.3.
Oh, yeah, the setback distance is determined by this, okay, yeah.
Determined by the zoning district, right. And based on, I mean, we've shown the setback lines on the plan based on the zoning district. So they vary by district, I understand.
So, did you see that last line too? The Article 7. If that's gonna provide anything else.
So, I mean, that does,
That's the table.
he drew his line based on that.
So,
That's a significant improvement on the side.
I'm inclined to send it to the zoning board, because it's quite a bit over the lines, and you may well have a case before the zoning board, but I wouldn't feel comfortable about voting for something where something's so close in, or so far into the setback.
on the sides.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, there's very little space between that and the line, or in the lot next door, on both sides, actually, but I don't know if anybody is here from the public. Oh, there's somebody from the public who could speak to it, maybe.
Is there a member from the public who'd like to speak?
Yeah, I mean, the proposed car wash is 140 feet from my houses, so it's close.
Yeah,
Noise, lights,
lights.
I've got a list of stuff, I don't know if you guys want to hear it.
We won't tonight because it's conceptual, but when it
But
comes
yeah,
before.
it's close, I mean, the setback's there for a reason.
And we have to be cognizant of that's residential, that's residential, that's residential.
And then taking the front setback separately from the side, if we were to look at the sides as one issue and address that however we can or have to, we have a portion of the exit driveway in the front setback. Would that be looked at the same way as you are the sides? I'm just trying to break it down, and if we have to move things or where we can move things, what's our best direction?
Line is, and arches quite a bit over. What is this little square building over here?
That's conceptual dumpster that would go somewhere else.
So. Does anyone have anything else? Questions? it is just a conceptual, so.
Right.
It seems that, yeah, the setbacks are something, I don't think we can have an answer on tonight.
We'd have to go to the ZBA,
Yeah.
which would be, next meeting would be in April, right?
Yeah,
Third Tuesday in April.
And I guess, again, my question is, that's the side, if we were to go to the ZBA for the side setbacks or revise a plan to meet the side setbacks, if we would eliminate any driveway in the side setbacks, would you feel we would still need to go there for a portion of that exit driveway on the front setback?
I will just add, in the front, I feel like granting a variance for that front, again, I'm not going to speak for the ZBA, but a thought is that granting a variance for that front seems like it would still meet the intent of the ordinance, because it looks like you're about whatever that, how many feet is that in the front setback? I can't remember. Whatever it is, it looks like you're that distance from the road because of the size of the right of the distance between the road and the lot line. Just a thought.
The front setback's 30 feet.
So it looks like, what you're proposing is about 30 feet from the road, which seems to largely meet the intent of the ordinance. That's neither here nor there.
Well, I guess my question is this dark line the boundary line, or does it, it said something about edge of pavement or something.
Not in this
It
case.
says
So
West Wall Street.
the setback is measured from the boundary line in this case.
It is,
So
okay.
he correctly placed it in
Okay.
accordance with our zoning ordinance. I'm just saying, when you look at it, it's about 30 feet from the road, and I would think for that reason, obtaining a variance for that, he might have that might be an advantage in his attempt to obtain a variance. But again, that's for later on down the road.
That sounds about right to me.
Zoning concern matter.
Okay.
He also did have a parking question, and I don't know if the board feels it's appropriate to get any further into that. This is a unique arrangement where much of the existing parking is right there up front, I think where they'd be vacuuming, but that's what people come there to do. They're either going to come there to vacuum or come there to go through the car wash. So I think, just to make sure that parking is going to be satisfactory. I may have missed it, but I think he's looking for some clarification on that as well.
You don't have a handicap form. You need a handicap.
We can, correct. There's not a full-time employee on site, is that correct?
There would be, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we need at least one space, I believe, for the employee, and again, based on the building size, and a parking requirement of one space for 300 square feet, based on the parking table under other uses on the parking table, we need one space for every 300 square feet. Based on the building size, we require 10 spaces, and I guess my question is, do you consider the stacking spaces for those people wanting to use the building, the car wash, can be utilized to address that parking requirement? The parking waiting to use that building. They're moving, but it's not like
And
they're
they're
going in,
not
it's not
parked.
like
They're
they're
not
going inside
parked.
the shop, they're
No,
going
but
in.
they're in line.
They're in line,
parked.
they're not
It's not a
parked.
parking spot.
They're in queue for a car wash,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. well, that-
I'll
we
ask
don't
this
have any
question.
provision for that.
There's another car wash in town. Don't think it has parking spaces.
Yeah, but you don't know, that was before we did our parking ordinance.
Well, that was my next question. When was that approved versus when was any changes made to our rules?
Just recently changed the parking.
I'm not sure when the one space per 300, that's been there certainly since I've been here. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't know.
I guess the point was, there's 3, 4, at least 6 spaces for vacuuming. And do those count as parking spaces? Or do they not count as parking spaces?
And are people vacuuming parked? I would.
Well, they
you
are
know,
parked.
Well, but in terms
They
of.
get really mad when you pull away with the hose in your car.
I would
I'm
definitely.
assuming.
In terms of what our ordinance says.
No, so I guess I was looking for that as a case of reference, if you will, to see how that may have or may not have been handled in terms of that. I don't know what type of history is on that. I wasn't on the board when that was approved, but
Okay.
I was alive when it was approved, but that's about it. So I'm just looking at similar thing.
I feel like sorry, Chairman, can I
Yes,
add in my
please.
2 cents? Like, I mean, it seems that it meets the requirements of the ordinance in that there are spaces there, and the ordinance doesn't say the spaces can't serve some dual purpose. In this case, the dual purpose would be both parking and vacuuming. And so, and it meets common sense requirements. They don't need, people aren't coming there to shop. There's no car that's going to come there and need some, isolated parking space that, so that they can park here and then go do their, car wash. They're not going to walk through the car wash. The car is going to travel through the car wash. The car is going to be in the parking space when there's vacuuming. So it seems like a reasonable arrangement. And it does seem, again, those are spots, and they certainly meet the numbers required in the ordinance.
I agree. I mean, it's common sense. What are you gonna do? Park
Well,
somewhere else?
I might go run through the car wash.
You would.
And have to
Just
park
be that
your car to
person,
do
just be
it,
that
right?
person.
You have to park at Dairy Queen.
Soft touch?
I like, less soft, the bristles that hurt though, But, sorry.
Parking spaces work for me.
I would say the handicap.
Well, there is a handicap
That's,
requirement.
No, I know wheelchairs over there.
The vehicle.
so,
I'm sure it's not the electrical.
does that answer?
Clear as mud, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So these count, and you need some extras. You're short on some. Right.
Right, an employee space and/or handicapped.
So,
Oh. This area, might be something to look at.
Yeah, probably can't be located there.
Don't know.
yeah, I don't know. But
If you came
I
over
don't
here.
think I've
you
ever
could-
seen parking spaces that you need car wash ever seen.
I don't think I've never
I've never seen
seen
it.
a problem. Yeah, there's always been parking next to the vacuum,
That's it.
and then a drive-through. What else are you gonna do?
It's the only reason why they're staying. Let it be
Yeah,
that.
there should be provision, seems like there should be some kind
Currently, our ordinance
Uh,
doesn't have that, so
of, what's that?
currently our ordinance doesn't have that. So
I
we have
know.
to go with what we've got.
Yes, that's our ordinance, unfortunately, for what it's worth. So, that's what we have to work with at the time.
You can't list everything, you never know what's coming out.
Never even thought of
No.
that.
Well, it is,
Someone will come up with a use that's not designated, and you gotta try to slot it.
yeah.
Never fails. That's all I have. All right,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, I guess we were supposed to do the minutes a while ago. So, anybody have a chance to read minutes? Okay, minutes of, let's see, January 8th. All right, January 8th. Just a couple things here.
the only thing,
Fourth paragraph down on page 3, citing issues. That should be a C. Citing with a C.
Sorry, what page?
3?
Page 3.
January
What ones are we on?
January 8th?
Yeah, January 8th.
Oh, I was on February 26th.
Fourth paragraph down, Dory, see it?
Not yet. The one that starts with Kathy Mitchell made a public comment?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be more specifically addressed, comma, citing issues, citing is with C.
Okay.
Just,
On that same page, I'd say, it should say Juliet's last name and Dari's last name.
Okay.
and last paragraph, commenters, 2 M's. Commenters should have 2 M's.
Okay. And does it end in T-E-R-S?
Yeah.
I'll look into that.
Make a motion to approve the January 8, 2019
Second.
planning board minutes as
Second.
corrected.
I
All those in favor?
Aye, Steve.
Aye.
I'll vote present as I was not here.
Okay, 2. Moving on.
I just noticed my name is ZKY, not SKY,
Um,
on both the last one and this one.
oh,
Stuff to get
so
to
is
know.
that in the, members present?
Yes.
Okay.
It is spelled correctly in other places.
Are you in the witness protection? I should be. Change my name to
All right. Anybody got with these?
Make a motion to accept the January 22nd, 2019.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Wendy and I vote
All right,
present.
what do we got? One more down.
You need a copy?
No, wait a minute. Oh, no, there it is. February 26.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes of February 26th.
I'd second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Tim Bitstein abstains.
All right, and Jessamine, right?
ZKY.
Yep. It's a new person doing this, that
Yeah,
wasn't me, I know how to spell your name.
All right,
No
other
wonder they
correspondence.
And they're tiny.
Do we have some other correspondence? Or
No.
messages?
No.
News?
We have some news that apparently some of us were in the dark about.
Oh, okay, yes. The annual spring conference is coming up. I sent out an email on that. And yes, this is either my last or second to last planning board meeting. I'm going to be I'm going to be taking a position as the planner in the town of Belmont.
Well,
I'd like to go on the record and say that what is Belmont's gain is Tilton's loss.
Thank you. I
thank you,
appreciate
well
that.
said.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate all your work, but hopefully you'll be here next time. So then we can really embarrass you.
We should have a cake or a pie.
Yeah, we'll make a big deal of it.
No God.
So,
And other than that, that's all.
That's all we get is, yeah.
Well, it's been, I've been here 5 years in Tilton. I've learned so much. It's been a great experience, and I'm honestly very excited about the direction the community's headed in. There's some great momentum that you guys are all part of, and I look forward to reading and hearing about all the positive developments that are going to happen here in Tilton.
Ride the wave, baby.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
Aye.
we're adjourned.
Second.
Is it?
I know, he did so much better than Yeah, what previous. happened to the?
I'll second that. I like the microphone.
You'll second anything.
Everybody likes
With your
to-
feet.
My job. I'm second.
It's
I'm the
addictive.
chairman, I'm the vice chairman, I'm the second. I'll second.
Second everything.
7:18.